somewhere different today. I'm up out in space, aren't I? I wonder where you are. Are you at home? Or sat in a classroom? Or in a hall? Let's have a look to see if I can work out where you are. Ah, there you are. I've got you. I can see you. But you know what? I can see lots of other interesting things around me as well. I can see all sorts of things around the world. I can see things out in space. I wonder if I showed you some of the things I can see, whether you'd be amazed as well, and whether you could work out where they are. Let's show you some things now. Shall we hear about how God created the world in the first place and made a really wonderful place for us all to live in? Let's do that then. Long, long ago, when the universe was young, God looked around at the chaos. He saw gas and dust spinning and twisting and floating around. He looked at it all and thought how boring it was. So he decided to make something out of it all. He gave a command, and in a mighty explosion of light and heat and energy, everything began to take shape. Galaxies and stars and planets and nebulae. Some started forming quickly, others took a little bit longer. But eventually the universe was filled with stars, twinkling and shining as planets began to form around them. God looked at what was happening and thought that it looked pretty good. He began to focus on one galaxy, one star in that galaxy, one planet orbiting that star. He watched and guided as things happened on that little world. He made sure that the temperature was just right. The atmosphere was made of just the correct mix of gases. He made sure that the water and land was there, a moon to orbit and govern the tides, to give light at night as it reflected the splendour of the sun. He looked at it all and thought that it was good. The land, though, was a bit dull and barren. So was the bottom of the ocean. So God designed plants to cover the land and to grow in the sea. Grasses and ferns, bushes and trees, flowers of 1,000,000 different kinds. He didn't just stick to green either. Things grew in every colour imaginable. Red and yellow and orange and brown and blue and purple and pink. But that wasn't enough for God. No, he looked at the waters and thought that they were a bit empty. So amidst the roaring waves in the great ocean depths, he began to form life. Simple things at first, but slowly, over time, more and more complicated. Amoebas, crustaceans, corals, fish of 1,000 varieties. Octopi and squids, eels and seals and whales. God looked at it all and thought how fantastic it all was. But he didn't stop at the waters. Life overflowed onto the land and into the air. Things that flew and swooped and dived and hovered. Things that squirmed and crawled and wriggled. Things that walked and ran and chased. Birds and mammals and lizards and reptiles. Small things, tall things, fast things, slow things. The smaller, simpler things appeared quickly. But others took thousands and hundreds of years to take shape until God was happy with them. Even then, they carried on changing as the world changed. God looked at it all and smiled broadly as he saw how wonderful his creation was. But as all this change and growth and production was happening, God looked at that little blue-green planet hanging in space like a giant marble. He looked at it and wanted someone to share it with, someone to enjoy the trees and the plants, the animals and the flowers. He wanted someone else to see how fantastic it all was. So amidst all the other growth, he made human beings, men and women. And as the human race developed across the whole planet, he made each one special. A myriad of different shapes and sizes, different races and colours, different likes and interests, but each one special, with an individual gift and talent. And because they were more intelligent than all the other animals, God put them in charge. They learnt to become farmers, looking after and tending the plants and growing food. They became hunters, chasing and seeking out meat to eat. Over the years, they became much more. They became artists and writers, creating just like God had created. They became scientists and engineers. They became teachers and doctors. They became dancers and drivers and receptionists. They became shopkeepers and road sweepers and footballers. They became, oh, so many things. God looked at his busy creation and smiled. He looked at all they had achieved and thought how much they were like him. Some people forgot about God, and that made him sad. It made him sad when he saw the damage that they did to their world and to each other. It made him sad when he saw them arguing and quarrelling and fighting. But he also saw things that made him smile all over his face. He saw kindness and caring. He saw love and creativity. He saw people who remembered him and had conversations with him, people who tried to do what was right. He looked at what was going on, the good and the bad. Over the years, he did not leave his creation. He paid them careful consideration. He even sent his son to help them out, to help them to get to know him better. But that, as they say, is another story. So isn't our world wonderful, full of amazing things? And all the time scientists are discovering more about it. They've come up with ideas about how the world was created. Now, I believe that God was behind it, however it happened. And so we need to think about our world and say thank you to God for all the amazing things in it. And one way of showing how grateful we are is by looking after the world, by taking care of things, by not throwing litter, by recycling, and by looking after the world in general. So what I'd like you to do now is think for a few seconds about what wonderful things in the world that you want to say thank you to God for. And then I'll count to 3 and we'll say a great big thank you. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. So enjoy God's wonderful world and remember to look after it. Be seeing you.